administered by what, 22 new Zars? 32, excuse me, 32 Zars. Does anybody even know what they do, where they are? They have absolutely the answer to no one.
Amen.
No one. They're not elected and they're not appointed. They are just there.
Their signs are votes, publications, population control. He supports abortion.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes, sir.
A little change of subject. With regard to judicial confirmations in the Senate, U.S. Senate,
Yes.
what would be, I'm not sure how to ask exactly, what would be your philosophy or what issues would determine how you would vote concerning it?
You know, one of the things that I have to tell you, and I'm going to be very honest at this point, is it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback. It's easy. People have asked me, well, would you have voted for the stimulus package? Well, of course I wouldn't. But I can't, that now we see what it does. It's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback, but there is a certain level of ideology that I have that I would never differ from. I know that we do this in the Senate now in Texas, where the governor gives us a nominee and then we decide through nominations process whether that person is fit for the job or not, for a lot of different reasons. I would tell you that in this set of circumstances, I have 9 core values that whether I think it's a fait accompli because the governor or the president puts them there, that does not mean anything to me. Their issues would mean something to me. They're there for life. For the rest of their, at least if they're still healthy enough, for the rest of their life, I am not going to just sit back and say, okay, here's a check mark because the president wanted that individual. It'll be my core beliefs and my core values, and not just because it is advice and consent. Hey, Hutchison and Cornyn looked very closely at the issue of gun rights. I'm a huge proponent of gun rights. I voted many times in the Texas Senate to make sure that you, as a law-abiding citizen, have a right to protect yourself at all costs. I even voted for the bill the other day that you could have guns on college campuses. But these are people who have guns because they have a right to carry. They know what they're doing. The ones that we're fearful of on the campuses are the ones that don't have the right to carry. That's what we ought to be worried about. So there's a philosophy there that doesn't change no matter what level it goes to. The issue, I think, for Sotomayor, from Texas's perspective, Hutchison and Cornyn have said they don't like her philosophy on guns. They're very worried that she's going to start being restrictive on issues of guns. And I would have to say that I agree with that. I haven't heard all of her dialogue or all of her debates, so I can't. I've watched some of it. For the very reason that you said, I'd like to kind of see where I would be in a situation like that. Yes, sir.
Senator, you're a candidate for U.S. Senate. What's your position on life?
I have no life. Sure. I had the bill. Actually, I filed it 3 times, and the 4th time we finally passed it, and it was my bill. It would get a little bit closer and a little bit closer, but parental notification is my bill. My name's been on it for 4 sessions, and we've been very active in trying to do it. In fact, we had another bill this session on reporting of abortions, because all we do really is just everybody jots it down. Each of the hospitals and each of the doctors has a record, but we don't have a good reporting mechanism. So I've been working to try to get a better reporting system. And it passed because of all the things that went on in the House. But, yes, yes, ma'am.
As a U.S. Senate, how would you address the problem of 1,000+ page bills that haven't been read or whatever? Would you vote for a bill that you had not read?
You know, that's another issue that I'm going to tell you the truth about. We in the legislature, we have 1,000-page bills in the Texas Senate. Do I tell you that I've read every page of that bill? I have not. Do I tell you that I've read most of the bill? Probably. Do I tell you that I hire a staff that I trust to read the bills, who will be honest with me and tell me what those bills say, especially on those major issues of importance? If they don't, they're fired. It's very simple. But how a senator or a legislator, whether it's in the Texas Senate or in the United States Senate, could read every 1,000-page bill would be difficult. The big ones, the ones that make tremendous change to public policy, like a health care bill, I would think you have an obligation to know that bill inside and out. Definitely. But if someone said to me, are you going to read every bill? I'm not going to lie. No one would be telling you the truth if they said, elect me, I'll read every bill that comes before the United States Senate. Okay. Is there anybody else? Yes, sir.
Okay, a hard one.
A hard one.
Yeah, I understand that, especially in the Senate, any kind of group like that, there's this balance between standing by exactly what's right, idealism, and a balance between working with and building coalitions to get things done. Do you have any principles or guiding lights there to help you with which way to go?
I do that every day in the Texas Senate for the very reason that I just told you. To get a bill up on the floor, it takes 21 votes. We only have 19 Republican senators. So we do have to compromise. In order to be able to get a bill, A, you've got to get it passed out of your committee, which is usually a combination of Republicans and Democrats on your committee. And B, you have to be able to get 21 votes to get it up on the floor. So we do that. But there are things that you look for in the compromise that you're not compromising your principles. There are ways to do that without compromising your principles. And I've done that for 16 years in the Texas Senate. And I will continue to do that. If you look at my record and you look at the bills that I filed and the way we've demonstrated that relationships across the aisle are important. Rural and urban and suburban relationships are important on certain issues. You've got to be able to work with people other than those that have the exact same set of circumstances that you have. But you can never, in my opinion, abandon your basic core principles. You just can't. There have been many bills that I have seen come through my committee that I would rather not pass rather than have it without the basic philosophy that I think is important for Texans. In fact, I got in some trouble last session because I wouldn't let a couple of Democrats have their bills passed for the very reason that they were basically against what I believe in. That's one of the nice things you do because you're a chairman. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know exactly in what position you need to do something about or influence the fact that Obama required a date that the Miranda rights have to be read on the ballot.
That's the first I've heard about this.
That is the problem. It has come before the media one time, and evidently it's just swept.
I'm happy to look at it, but I don't know. I'm sorry that I'm not well versed at all on that, but I will look into it. Absolutely. Yes.
That's just incredible because you've got an armed adversary who's shooting at you, trying to kill you, not arrest you, kill you.
You got to read them.
It's
ridiculous.
Which would also mean that you have to remove him from the danger area, you have to heal him if he's hurt. Listen, it's going to reduce the amount of prisoners because if I was there, I'd kill him.
You have to. What are you supposed to do? Wait for you to be the one that gets shot? I mean, I don't.
That's the choice.
Absolutely. Let me tell you another little quibbit, and it kind of relates to that. Today, with the two women that were released from North Korea, and thank God they were. We're all blessed and happy that it happened. But I think what we watched as we looked at this was an Obama philosophy, and it scares me. Let's just go and be nice and tell them that we're sorry and we'll be able to resolve the problem. Well, as they came off the plane today, and I watched them come down off the plane, my greatest fear was coming true because that's what they talked about in the media was, look, it does work. And that's insane. It doesn't necessarily work. Kim Jong-il had a very specific purpose as to why he was going to let Bill Clinton come to North Korea, have meetings, sit and take pictures. That was very well rehearsed. That had nothing to do with them being benevolent and allowing two American citizens to come back because we said we were sorry. I mean, that's the kind of diplomacy that scares me, quite frankly.
Kim Jong-il announced that he would let them go if a person of stature came up there plead their case.
That's exactly right. Now it's all unfolding. And I'm sure he made the decision that he wanted to have pictures with them, as they went through the process, which we got lots of good pictures of the two of them together.